We should be getting on here. Things should be working. And I know, was it Monday? That means it's Friday. It means it's Friday because Wednesday I took some extra rest time. Gotta get up and get going and get on with life, right? We can't sit around waiting for the best of life to come to us. So I want you to take that to heart a minute. I'm FC Farwell. I'm a minister of the gospel. I share truths that release you into your God given destiny. I'm not the plan, God has the plan. So we each day get up and we are to live freely. We are to live fully. We are to access this incredible life that is ours. To access the life that we've been given means we must act. So that's what I'm saying. You cannot sit around waiting for good things to come. That doesn't mean they won't come, but we actively, as we actively seek God, we actively are out living life. And as we live and give, the return is there for us. The farmer that doesn't plant his crops to take the action does not see a result. He still has an empty field until he plants the field. Sowing and reaping is so much part of our lives and living and giving. But I want to consider with you today. Uh, you remember this song? We're going to talk about fear. We're considering fear. Let me put that title up there. Show the title. There we go. Be free from fear. There's that song, right? No longer slaves to FEAR. You and I are no longer slaves to fear. If we're no longer slaves to it, means we're no longer held, captivated, bound by it. Let's look at a few things along these lines. Because all our lives in this world, things are meant to capture us. The enemy's plan is to capture us and defeat us by fear. And he has no place. The Jesus said to the devil, "You have," he said, he had no place in him. The devil had no place in him, meant that there was no place for doubts, worries, and fears in Jesus Christ's life. What about you? What about me? In our new miracle life, living a miracle life, we don't have room for fear to bind us, to defeat us, to hold us back. So we want to do a couple things, and we're going to make this boom. Here we go, launch into our day. Let me put on the chat screen, see if there's anything working. Don't know. Should be working. Don't know. Anyway, so being free from fear. Paul wrote this by revelation, but it was the truth that in his heart of what he dealt with. And if you think Paul or Peter and any of them never dealt with fear, we would be mistaken. They also were human. Oh, they were beyond life. They super saints, they never feared. No, they were human and they dealt with things like you and I do. So be free from fear. 2 Corinthians 7:5 is very interesting. But when we came to Macedonia, our bodies had no rest, but we were afflicted at every turn, fighting without and fear within. Now, the fighting without is just there's stuff going on around us, right? There are conflicts. There are different things that happen. I want to look at this a minute. And fears within. So to think that Paul and the others never feared, sorry, it just isn't the case. Do we understand that? And that's 2 Corinthians 7:5. So I wanted to go there. back there. I was there actually early before we started, obviously. So look at that. We came to Macedonia. Our bodies had no rest, but we were afflicted every turn, pressured. Afflictions and pressures of life are part of a world system that is based on fear and corruption, deceit, and all that stuff that's going on. That's why we should never put our trust in the world, but put our trust in God. So there was fighting without. That's something. There was battles, as it says here, there was battles, there was contention, there were quarrels outside. Does that happen? Yeah. Now, are believers to have those quarrels and all within? No, within the fellowship we're not supposed to have that. We're supposed to walk in love toward one another, which is what we're considering in light of being free from fear. And what is it? Is it Second Timothy 1:7? For God, oh yeah, God has not given us a spirit of that fear, fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. If your mind is sound, your thoughts are sound. You don't hold thoughts of fear. It doesn't mean in the world we live in there aren't challenges where things come to break us down and cause us to fear. But on one hand, the world is filled with fear. On the other hand, with God, He empowers us to live above fear, right? Living in love is a way to live above fear. This word, and fear within. Now, what do you think that word fear is? What would this word fear be? Way back when, yeah. Oh, in the Greek, it's the word phobos. Do I have that right? Yeah, phobos. What do we call fears? Phobias. Afraid of spiders, afraid of small places, afraid of heights, afraid of, I don't know. They say there's like all these fears. Well, where did those come from? Hmm. Adam didn't say they were afraid till they disobeyed God. So when we look away from God, we're not walking with the things of God. It'll be common to have fear, and we're to be free from fear. So this is there's something a little funny here I want to give you in a moment. So um, this fear, they say, means fear, dread, terror. And we know, because in a moment we're going to look at it, but the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. We're not actually going to look at those two verses, but it's interesting that it can't be a dread like the world has. It can't be a terror or a fear like the world has. It has to be something that is, there's this like deep honoring respect for God, that we would never want to do something that would be, what would we say, disobedient with Him. But this is funny. So it says that which strikes terror, fears can strike terror in people. You don't need a haunted house. I don't know why. When I was younger, once or twice I took my children to them, but haunted houses, I would never build, I would never do a business as a haunted house. Why would I never do a business as a haunted house? Or into that time, because it says that we're to abstain, keep away from every appearance of evil. And what do haunted houses have? A real appearance of evil. It's your business whether you go or not. I'm not judging you. It's just I couldn't do that as a business because it wouldn't be right, right? And if you remember, maybe way back 100, 200, 300 broadcasts ago, I'm sure I shared about one Halloween when my children were young. My son wanted to wear something that was a very scary outfit thing during this time. And I shared that with him, that we're to abstain from every appearance of evil. And so I think he went out as Woody or something, Woody from Toy Story. But listen to this. One of the definitions they give for phobia, okay, is reverence for one's husband. Now, the reverence is the part that we're thinking about when we reverence God instead of fear. It's a reverence. So there's two sides to fear. There's the side that's terror. Ah, stay away. And there's a reverence for God. Yeah, could you imagine reverence for one's husband? If you're married, your wife, they fear the husband. They aren't even getting, they see terror when they see their husband. They're not even coming close, right? Yeah, well, there you go. Anyway, but David, in the light of a four-letter word, and love is a four-letter word, and fear is a four-letter word, pretty simple words, right? Not difficult words to comprehend, understand. Psalm 34, 4 through 7. There's one verse that's key in here, but I think we're going to look at the context a little, okay? I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. Now, there's the answer. Could you imagine going to the psychiatrist or whatever, and you're sharing with him fears, the fear of falling, right? The fear of darkness, the fear of spiders, the sky is falling, whatever. I'll hold it up a little bit higher. I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. It isn't a worldly solution that's going to work, because fear, because here's what the world will tell you: deal with your fears, live with your fears, uh, just live with it, get with it, because it's part of life. It doesn't need to be a continuing part of a believer's life. I'm not saying fear doesn't happen. We saw that fighting without and fear within. So even they, as believers, had times that things kind of got to them, phobia. Okay. But if people were chasing down your life because they didn't want you preaching the gospel, and they would throw you in prison and even kill some of you, whatever, behead them, John the Baptist, stone them like Stephen, or other things. You'd be like, don't want to mess with those guys. But look at the boldness of Peter. Was it in Acts 4 where he said, we ought to obey God rather than men? Got kind of high there. We ought to obey God rather than men, right? He was pretty bold. Day of Pentecost, pretty bold. But there was later times we see that Peter in Galatians, where he feared the Jews and he stopped living, like eating and doing things like a Gentile, right? So they dealt with these as realities in their day. Okay, we should respect and reverence, respect believers, honor one another, think on others, but it doesn't say we're to fear a brother or sister in Christ, right? Now, maybe if we're doing wrong, maybe you'd have a reason, because Romans 13 says that the minister, and you and I are ministers, does not bear the sword of the Spirit, the word of God, in vain. But we aren't here looking to condemn people, because God does not condemn them. We're looking for a way to approve people and help them, edify them, build them up on their way. Let's get on our way. So I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. Boom, bam. If we had this solution living in our heart, it would sure free us from a lot of things, and we wouldn't have to live in fear. I shall not fear what man shall do to me. Okay, there you go. Look, I want to read the rest of this though. Those who look to him are radiant. Some of you know the record of when Psalm 73 and 77 are looked. The one looked within and they were miserable, and then the other one looks in the record, in those two records, looks without and they're distracted. And in both cases, they're kind of downhearted. And it wasn't till one got in the place where God is, the temple, and for the other one, it was where they set their things back on the thoughts of God. Freedom came. Freedom comes when we're holding God's heart in our heart. So those who look to him are radiant. They have a glow about them, right? They radiate something. What are they radiating? Death? They're radiating life and light. And their faces shall never be ashamed. What an incredible truth that I heard this once, is disappointed in their expectations. As you and I look to God, we are never to be disappointed in our expectations. And there's, we find a couple of times when Jesus prayed, it says he looked up into heaven. We generally pray down, right? That's the pattern people do. We got our heads bowed. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Oh, Jesus often lifted up, and then you pray. Maybe we should pray a little different than we do. We're seated in the heavenlies. I'm looking down to earth or something. At least I can look across at the throne of God or something. Okay. The poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. There you go. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and what? And delivers them. Does that include you and me? It sure darn does. And we be speaking truth here. The angel of the Lord encamps around those that fears him, obviously God, and delivers them. We're not fearing an angel. We're not supposed to fear angels or anything like that. Not supposed to fear the devil. The devil is the one that is to fear us, because we've been given dominion's been restored, or we have victory over him. So no devil is going to stand in your way or my way. All right, I want to go to 1 John 4:16 through 20 and read some of the context here, because we often read, there is no fear in love, but perfect love cast out fear, or the King James, cast out all fear. Love cast out fear. But there's a context to this that gives us a little added insight that truth is still true. But here we go. So I'm in verse 16 of 1 John 4, reading on. So we have come to know and believe the love God has for us. Do I believe the love of God that he has for us? Whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. So living in love, does God ever fear? No, he has nothing to fear. He's God. Well, with him living in us, should we fear? And Jesus said that the devil had no place in him. That means fear had no place in him. He had to be tempted in all ways as we are, yet without sin. So he had to be tempted to fear, but he never, actively carried out a response to fear that, I don't know about that situation. You know what? I'm going to believe God and walk right through. That's what we're saying. It's just we're not going to cower, run, and hide. Remember in, the last chapter of, I don't know, one of the Gospels, maybe Luke or John. Take a look, see what John has to say. I don't know. It says they were behind closed doors because of fear, that four-letter word, of the Jews. Something happened on Pentecost where love started to prevail, huh? Okay, so God, whoever loves or whoever abides in love, isn't that interesting? It doesn't say abides in God. It says whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. So you want to know the spirit of the world? Remember the spirit of the Antichrist that comes in maybe chapter 3 and those things? How about if they are living love or not? The current situation we are in our country is there is not love coming forth. What is coming forth is to fear. So I do not believe what to trust, to rely on what I'm hearing coming out of Washington, because they're promoting to fear. And that is not part of our paradigm, our realm, our livelihood, however you want to put it. Okay, so God abides in him, love. By this is love perfected with us, so that we have confidence for the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. In one sense, there's judgment going on in the world because the stuff going on is trying to cause us to fear. Let's see if the enemy can cause us to be afraid like Adam. But on the other hand, we have confidence in the day of judgment when we are before the Bema seat of Christ, the Bema, and rewards are given. Let's see, we have confidence for the day of judgment because as he is, so also are we in this world. So even when the judgment comes, there's going to be nothing to fear because God's not going to condemn us or beat us up. He's already judged us righteous in Christ. How could a loving father turn around and go, oh, I was kind of full of grace and mercy, but now you're at the judgment seat. I'm going to kick your little, what a bazooka there. Nope. So today, and even in the time to come, we are not to fear, but to have confidence as even today, as things are going on. And even in a sense, you could say judgments are taking place. Karma is happening. But when I say karma, I don't mean it like the world. I mean sowing and reaping happens. But because we give out good, we are expecting good to come back. So you reap the same. If you want more love, give out more love, and so on and so forth. The one thing is people think they get rich by just saving away and packing it away and be the man that or woman that buries their money. No, it's the best, greatest givers that see the greatest receiving because it's a law that the kingdom has, our new life. So by this love is perfected in us, so we have confidence in the day of judgment because as he is, so are we in this world. Now that's incredible. How is, if we're talking Jesus Christ, what's he like now? He's risen, he's exalted, he's at the right hand of God. He's where pleasures are evermore. And what is that? At the right hand are pleasures evermore. And, full of something. It's good place. I don't know why I can't think of it at the moment. But it's a good word. I think it's from Psalm 16:11 maybe. I think it's joy or something. I don't know why I didn't there. Not getting the connection with the synapses aren't doing the right thing at the moment. They will. I'll get them in line. I guarantee you. There's no fear in love, but perfect love casts out all fear. What is perfect love? Is it eros love, sexual love? No, that's not perfect. Is it brotherly love? No, brotherly love is good. God designed these things. God designed sex and those things, married or so forth. And he designed brotherly love, right? And the word talks about brotherly love, having brotherly love. But the peak of it is the agape, the love of God that is in our minds, that we put on in our minds because we understand that God is love and he loves us and we live out. And that's the love that 1 Corinthians 13 says never fails, and of hope and faith and love is the greatest of these three. It's an energizing factor in the other things. So, no fear in love, but perfect love cast out fear and cast out all fear. So let's learn to love so that we are free from fear. Okay. For fear has to do with punishment. We expect some kind of judgment, punishment. Something's going to happen that's not good. That's not part of our lives. Whoever fears has not been perfected in love. Take that home to your spiritual bank account. Take what home? What we just read from the Word of God. For fear has to do with punishment. Whoever fears has not been perfected in love. No place. COVID coming in my place. COVID's never coming in my place. It's never come in our fellowships. It can't, because we refuse to fear. All right. And the angel of the Lord encamps around those that reverence God, fear him, and he delivers them. Okay. For fear has to do with punishment. Yeah, I read that. So we love because he first loved us. We didn't begin the journey. he began the journey reaching to us. We weren't in a position to get a delegation or just get it together in any way to go to God and say, help us. No, he had to reach down and he helped us. And now we're in a fellowship communion with him. Okay. We love because he first loved us. If anyone says, now anyone's a few, many, no, it's all, right? It's the whole grouping. If anyone, so we're included, each one of us, nobody can say I'm exempt. If anyone says, I love God and hates his brother, he is a liar, a liar. The love of God is not really prevailing. Do you have brothers that you strongly dislike, or a brother or sister, or you want nothing to do with them? I don't know. If you hate your brother, you're a liar. For he who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God whom he has seen. And this is the command we have from him. Whoever loves God must love his brother also. Remember, David sought the Lord, and he heard him and delivered him from all his fears. And that there is no fear in love, because perfect love casts out fear. So our real issue in refusing to fear and knowing that God has not given us a spirit of fear means that we are walking in this incredible love of God, and we're sharing it, we're building it, we're communicating it, because God is love, and everything he does fits with this truth. You are God's masterpiece.